All right, so welcome everyone to this session again. Nice to have you here. So we'll just go into today's email. Look at the quote message as normal, and look at the lesson. So I'm just gonna get this live stream going so that people can link into it. Then I'll share my screen. All right, so that's done. All right. Okay, so can you see that? Can read that quote. I actually shared this the other day, but it was really appropriate for this particular lesson, final lesson. So decided it was worth sharing again, because it's actually one of the most succinctly practical quotes I've seen. So yeah, Elaine, can you read that?
Yeah. You know you have made the right decision when there is peace in your heart.
Yeah, South African businessman said that. So some wisdom comes in all forms, from different places. Oh, there's already. So I shared this quite a few days ago, but felt inspired to share it again because it gives you extremely practical guidance on how you can determine whether you're listening to the right or the wrong voice. All you need to do is ask yourself if your decision leads to a feeling of peace in your heart or not. It's that simple. So the word decide, if you go into the origin of it, is from the Latin words decidere, which means to cut. So it really means to cut away other options. If you decide for one, you're cutting away other options. And if this sounds familiar, it's because it's the very heart of the forgiveness or letting go process that you've been studying for the last however many. Well, if you studied the course, it's over that period, and quite intensively in the Art of Letting Go program over the last, in Sally's case, 9 months. So forgiveness or letting go cuts away or discards one option, leaving the other one in your mind to guide you in life. And as Yeshua tells us repeatedly in the course, there are only ever two options, no matter how many there may seem to be in any situation, because there's only two seeming selves. The first option is your true self, or in the ACIM terms, Christ, that knows its source is perfect love and helps you reinterpret all situations from this perspective of perfect love or oneness, through what Yeshua calls the Holy Spirit. We call in alternative LG language the remembrance of perfect love. So I'm just going to share this Holy Trinity diagram again. So remember, this is an operating system for your mind and your life, and it demonstrates these levels quite clearly. You've got the Christ or the true self that sits between this ultimate state of pure formless awareness, perfect love, perfect oneness, source, knowledge, truth, whatever you want to call it. And it sits between this level, ultimate level, and the level of form, which is where the world seems to happen. So all the experiences that you seem to have in time and space happen in the box, the red box. And now that self, the Christ self, your true self, can reinterpret them. So it perceives them correctly with Christ's vision, it's called in the course. These are true perceptions. These are miracles. This is what forgiveness brings about. You can call it letting go. You could call it surrender. Some spiritual teachings, they call it acceptance. Salvation is Yeshua's name for the process of this. At one moment, another name, enlightenment, awakening, and there's probably other names you could come up with, but you get the idea. It's actually all describing this process of the Christ or the true self reinterpreting all the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, and all experiences that seem to happen in time and space. Forward from the self, which is directly connected to this perfect oneness. Okay, so one self brings you more and more into communion, into this experience, really. Communion with God means this experience, that you ultimately only have this experience going on in your mind, pure formless awareness of perfect love. And everything else has been laid aside, let go of. So that's your one option, is this thought system, the self, the Christ, the true self, and the Holy Spirit, which is its interpretive function. The Christ can now perceive correctly through Christ's vision, which is the Holy Spirit. And that's the blue arrows, which go both ways. So we can raise ourselves up from events that disturb us into the Christ self, experience that peaceful awareness, and then we can go back down and reinterpret all of these experiences from the perspective of oneness.
You know, I thought some of those words I would have thought went above that level. I would have thought enlightenment and, I mean, perhaps salvation, atonement. Do they not mean the level above?
Well, they're interesting words, actually, because they can describe the end state, but they can also describe the process. So when he talks about salvation, he often uses it in the context of a process. You know, salvation's function and etc. It's a process. So salvation and forgiveness are synonymous in his terminology, and he uses it more. Salvation, he uses salvation in ACIM as a process word, more than the end result. At one-ment also, it's the process, that one-ment process that he talks about. It's also at one-ment is the final end state that you rest in. But it's more useful to talk about it in process terms, because that's what we have to still do. So some of these terms, when you fully surrendered, when you fully enlightened, then you're in this state. But while you're still human, seemingly you're still in a body, then the idea that it's a work in progress, it's a process, is helpful, because you're going to have arising perceptions all the time, and so you keep needing to be correcting those perceptions, making sure that your perceptions are true and correct. So the final state would be called revelation. So that could also be a revelation in here. Maybe I can fit that in, see if that works. But revelation sort of messes up the thing, doesn't it, a bit? So I can't fit anything else, anything more in there. But these words, when he says knowledge, truth, source, these are used to denote just this arena, just the ultimate reality. Perfect love, heaven, love. So there's no sense of a process in heaven.
I'll make a suggestion, because it's useful to have revelation in there for that, I think. The word that comes up. You've got love in there twice. Maybe the first love could come out.
Yeah, perfect love. And
you've got love above in the first line, so maybe you could take out the first line and could even put truth in there if you want a short word. I was actually thinking if you put a short word up there like truth or source, it'll fit.
Maybe, truth.
Wrapped around. Truth.
That's going to be revelation. Let's see how it works. Supposed to paste a YouTube link. Revelation, maybe we expand that a bit. Might work. So not really happening, is it?
Good work.
Called hacking your way through revelation. Yay. see if we can fit this other thing now, possibly, to expand that. So I'm getting there.
There we go, that works.
Almost. Right. So center it and then there we go. How's that look?
Good. Yeah.
Revelation. If there's anything else, we might have space for one other term actually. Oneness, being, pure formless awareness, perfect love, source, knowledge, revelation.
Well, anything that the A Course in Miracles uses, because these terms, it's useful to know that they're interchangeable.
Yeah. What is Course in Miracle? I think we've got most of them. God, Father, Heaven,
I can't think of any.
uses source sometimes, truth, oneness, knowledge, perfect love, source. If there's anything else that comes on, you can add it. There's probably a little bit of space or a short word there. Or another line. I think we could probably actually even get in another line there. So that's the ultimate reality, as opposed to some kind of process that's still going on. So this is a shift, a transformation from the one reality to another. That's what's happening in the blue arrows. And there's language and terms that he has for that. So that's why I've named them. It's useful to know what he's talking about when he's using the language in the course. So then you kind of know where you are in the levels, because people get level confused. That's one of the big things with the course. They're going, but he's saying nothing real can be threatened, but then he's telling us about fear and darkness and hatred and apparently making that real. Well, it's because he's talking at another level then. He's addressing us at this level, and he's continuously trying to take us from this level upwards into the higher level of the self, and then pointing to this. But the majority of the course is directed at these two levels: the level of the time and space, the illusion, identifying what the ego is, and then how do you shift? How do you change your mind, let go of these things, and move into the Christ awareness? And he says this level will take care of itself. God takes the final step, and I can't teach them any of love because that's beyond what can be taught. So when you're ready and you've corrected your mind, then this will arise naturally in your awareness. And, so it's not a course in love; it's a course in removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. For that reason, which is kind of relates to what we're talking about here. Right? So it's about letting go of what's false, so that you can accept what's true. So you must identify what the blocks are in order to let them go. And then what remains when you let go of what's false, which is the second option. Listen to what Yeshua calls the ego, a separate self. It believes separation is the foundation of its existence and judges everything it experiences from this perspective. So remember, separation is its foundation. It believes in separation, and it's obsessed with that, because without separation, it wouldn't exist. So everything the ego does is based on the idea of separation at the core of it. So Yeshua's saying, well, you must choose. You can't believe in separation and oneness. They contradict each other. You must choose between these ideas and these thought systems based on the ideas, which means you must let go of one and accept the other. There's a very simple choice, which he's trying to make very clear to us in this course, that there's no ambiguity in our minds. So Yeshua's teaching is really very simple. He's saying, let go of your belief in separation in whatever ways that shows up in your thoughts and emotions. And what remains will be a clear, loving state of mind in which your true self will be inspiring all your thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and resulting decisions. His promise is that these will bring you into a state of peace that is ultimately unshakable. When you fully let go of your belief in separation and you listen only to the guidance of your true self. So it might be worth just having a look at the instrument for peace. Which is there, instrument for peace diagram. So this tells us how this process works. The foundation of our mind is the core belief. Do we want separation or do we want oneness? That's at the core. That's the desire or prayer of the heart. And then the beliefs and the thoughts and emotions and the perceptions stack up on top of that foundation. So the miracle happens at the core level where you change your mind about what you want. You say, I could choose to be separate, but I don't like the consequences of separation. You know, the beliefs, the thoughts, the emotions, and the perceptions that come from that are disturbing my peace, and I'm suffering because of it. So then, I choose what and that's a choice. It's you believe what you choose to believe. That's what this teaching is saying. There's only one of them that's true, but if you want to believe in what's false, you can. But then don't expect the consequences. What stacks up on top of a false foundation, belief, thought, emotion, and perception is extremely dysfunctional in the ego's case, because the belief behind it is false. What else could you expect from a false belief but dysfunctional results? So you change that, and then you change your desire to be a separate self. Your belief in the separate self now is weakened. You can't believe in a separate self concept if you don't believe in separation, can you? So my separate self concept and what goes with that, which is usually thoughts of being a victim, some kind of victim, a victim identity. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. The thoughts that go with that are not positive thoughts. They're generally negative, attacking thoughts. Emotions are not positive. They feel heavy. They feel dark, limiting, contracting. And then all of that combines into a perception that is not helpful. It's a false perception that keeps all of this in place. So perception is the top of the layer. You can't just address it at the level of perception. You've got to go deeper into the core through the layers that are blocking the awareness of love's presence to the core in your mind, which is the choice to be one or to be separate. Really authentically change your mind there, and then all of this must change. You cannot have a change of mind, fundamental change of mind, and still have the same beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. So it all ripples then up, and this is what transformation looks like. You go all the way down through the levels of the ego by undoing these. You see why undoing is so important, or letting go, because you've got to let go of the blocks. They are literally blocks to this awareness of love's presence. You have to let go of the blocks, the emotions, the thoughts, the beliefs, to get to the core level where you're clear enough then to make a choice and say, okay, I see, and I can actually choose oneness rather than separation here. And then the ripple, it ripples all the way back up through your belief, thought, emotion, perception, and you find, well, I'm a lot more peaceful. So perception of more peace is a sign that this has happened, this has taken place in your mind, and this transformation process has happened. Otherwise, you wouldn't be at peace. You'd still be in the old perception of having your peace disturbed. Okay. So any questions about that diagram? All good with it? We've looked at it before, but just useful as a reference point. So Yeshua's teaching is really, really very simple. Let go of your belief in separation, whatever ways that shows up in your thoughts and emotions. And what remains will be a clear, loving state of mind. So you get to the very core. You've let go of all this, and you find true awareness. Your true awareness is there, and that chooses for itself. And once you're aware of that awareness, there's no other choice. It becomes blindingly obvious that there really is nothing else to choose. So then once you've gone and you've made that choice, your true self will be inspiring all your thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and your resulting decisions. So you've undone the false self. You now desire only your true self. By desiring it, you make it yours, and that is now at the foundation of belief, thought, emotion, and perception going forward. And at the top level, you have a peaceful perception of the world that arises from this identification with your true self through these layers, and it's supported by new belief, new thoughts, new emotions, and new perceptions. And when you do this process and you see how that happens, then you go, yeah, I can see that it works in my experience. Because at the end, you've all done the Instrument for Peace worksheet, some of you a number of times. The end result is a more peaceful perception, isn't it? You feel that greater peace. So that's a sign that it's worked and some fundamental change has occurred. So if you fail to let go of these blocks, so the beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions that the ego sponsors, then it's really the decision to hold on to your belief in separation. It's a decision for your separate self and your separate self comes to replace your true self, which comes from oneness. And if you fail to let go, then your peace is going to be disturbed, because you now have an inner conflict between two apparently opposite selves that will always tell you to do completely opposing things. And even if you think you can suppress the Holy Spirit completely, you can't, because it will always be there, because it's your true nature. So by inviting the ego in, you really condemn yourself to eternal conflict, or conflict for as long as you invite the ego in, because you can't get rid of your true self. So it's always going to be there. There's always going to be some part of your mind that knows that what you're doing is wrong, and it's going to bring in what we call conscience. It'll bring in feelings that I'm not actually doing the right thing here, and maybe sense of meaninglessness and purposelessness, because those are the things that might awaken you. And then the ego will say, no, just get busy with my current existence, because I don't want to feel those feelings. So it covers all that over and just tries to keep itself busy in its illusion. But sooner or later, if you have a split, your mind is not at peace, sooner or later you have to face that. If you don't face it and you bury it, then often what happens is disease comes and you get disease. And then you have to face it. So ideally, we want to tell the difference between these selves and the thought systems that they sponsor quickly and easily. If we can do that, then we don't have to go down a road of denying the truth and causing ourselves all kinds of problems. We can just accept it up front and accept it moment by moment in our decisions, because that's how it works. You don't go, right, now I've arrived, my true self has arrived. It's a moment by moment. Okay, I'm making decisions, I'm thinking thoughts, I'm feeling feelings. So, what's behind them? And so it's ongoing. It's ongoing process of connecting yourself and remaining rooted in the true self. So it requires vigilance and discipline to stay connected to the self and not wander off into the alternative self, the ego that's been invented for us. We invented. Okay, so how do I tell the difference between these selves and what they're advising me to do? You may be wondering. Well, as I said at the beginning, the answer is simple: by the degree of peace you feel when you've made any decision, as Yeshua tells us clearly in today's final workbook lesson. So if Jackie or Sally, if you can read that in the original and the alternative, that would be great.
This holy instant would I give to you. Be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. I am wholly aware in every moment my true self is in charge, and I follow its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace. Yeah, really does, doesn't it?
A slight change from yesterday's translation, which might work better for you, given we're going to do it today and tomorrow as well. It's like, okay, well, use a different language if that helps. So I'm wholly aware every moment. You're saying I'm aware, I'm in the now, moment by moment, and my true self is in charge. That's what is wholly aware. And I follow its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace. Very simple. Very. I love this final lesson because it's so simple. And this is where he leaves it. A very simple. Okay, we're just going to follow the guidance. And the mind training that you've done is going to equip you to follow that guidance, to be able to listen, hear the guidance. Whereas before, if you're all blocked up with the ego, all the blocks to awareness of love's presence, means that you can't follow the guidance. So it's a course in removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence so that you can follow guidance moment by moment by moment, as he says here. Okay, so any thoughts on that, on the key idea of the lesson? Otherwise, thought we could practice a little skill of discernment right now in a little meditation, inspired decision-making exercise. So, and then I'll just lead us straight into the lesson. Or shall I? No, let's discuss the lesson first, Nick. So we'll do a sort of 5-10 minute meditation on this now. So just make yourself comfortable. So sitting in your favorite meditation posture. Sitting on a chair, feet shoulder width apart, back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in. Some moisturizers. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching your sphincter muscle, you're locking the energy in. Pulling the energy up the spine into your heart center. Putting one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. And then drawing it all the way up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. It's a maximal inhale breath. And so bring to mind a reasonably important decision you need to make soon. Whatever it is, dwell on it for a bit and consider the options. There's usually a couple of options. That's just the way decisions work. It wouldn't be a decision if there weren't more than one option. So choose one option mentally. And then briefly consider some of the consequences of that option that you've probably thought about already. Maybe it's causing you some, worry. So it shouldn't be difficult. Bring that up and just feel into it. So to help you do that, just drop your attention into your heart center. And just notice how that feels. So what are you feeling in the body? Notice any body sensations. Emotions are felt in body sensations. Notice the thoughts that you're thinking. Generally, how do you feel? Do you feel peaceful, calm, or say a disturbance? Does this option disturb your peace a bit? So exhale. So now just let that go. Kind of move around, shake it out. You can open your eyes briefly just to reset state. It's like interrupting the pattern, and close your eyes again. Another nice deep breath in, and consider the alternative option or options. Imagining briefly consequences of each one and observing your thoughts and your emotions again. And drop your attention into your heart center or your chakra by touching it lightly with one hand. Imagining you breathing into it. Put some focus, some energy on that. And just feel into what does it feel like? Consider some of those options briefly. What would happen if you took that option? Consider the consequences. Just try and get a overall kind of feeling snapshot of what does that choice feel like? Now you're connected with that quite deeply. Breathe in again and recognize if you don't feel peaceful, then the guidance is not coming from your higher self, from your ego or belief in separation. So now you're going to consciously let go of the less peaceful option. So bring that to mind. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. So bring the option fully to mind. Connect with the feelings. Feeling a bit disturbed. Some dark energy there. You just breathe it in. And breathing in. Sense of spacious awareness of light. Again, focus your attention on your heart chakra. Put one end in your heart. Connecting with your heart space. And the darkness dissipating. If it helps, you can imagine the light flowing into your heart center, flowing into every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. And choose to let it go, blowing it away with the breeze of your breath. Nothingness that it really is. So choose peace instead. I'm wholly aware In this moment, my true self is in charge. And I follow its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace. And then just rest in this deep peace and stillness. A few moments. Anchor the state in, feel breath again, breathing in. Your heart center, put one hand on your heart. And then just notice if the feeling of peace deepens and intensifies. And focus on the option that remains, the option that you didn't let go of. Just consider it, contemplate. If you did that, what it would feel like, what might happen. Just try and get a general energetic snapshot of it. If you feel your peace intensifying, there's a deepening of it. And something he just says, this feels good, this feels right. And almost certainly on the right track. And certainly this is the correct decision for you, but you're not sure, you don't have to act immediately on it. It's not something you have to act on straight away. Wait a day or two before doing anything about it, and just ask the Holy Spirit to remembrance of perfect love for guidance. And so when you're ready, just open your eyes. Take 30 seconds just to ground yourself back into this world by observing what's going on around you in a very clear, calm, detached way. And notice that peace that you experienced is still there. It hasn't gone away. Check the issue again with your eyes open. Just consider that decision that brought you more peace. See how you feel now about it. And then continue on the rest of the session. So, how was that? Any feedback on that?
For me, the first thing was writing an ebook that I've just started a 30-day writing challenge, and I was thinking of just publishing the ebook for my clients. And initially that felt very easy. Didn't feel very expansive, but it felt very easy. And then the second option was to do a proper book and make it a physical copy. And that felt uncomfortable, scary, made my heart pound. Then I went back to the first option. There was more love there. It felt complete. Yeah, that's good.
So you got some clarity.
Yeah. That I'm doing the right thing, right choice. It's too big a jump to go straight into writing a book. So just doing the ebook's fine. Yeah, it kind of added something to it.
Yeah, it's a nice little exercise you can do. And if you feel like you need some more guidance, we're going to do a session in the course where we'll look at a decision that you have to make, some quite important decision, the most important decision at this point in your life, and then we do a process, inspired decision-making process, which goes a bit deeper than this one, but this is a good start. And you can use this anytime. It only needs to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Just sent it as a separate recording. That's why I didn't want to go straight into the other meditation. So it's a 10-minute little recording that you could listen to and say, I just need some clarity. Let's let's just check on this and see energetically, see how I feel. And the degree of peace you feel is generally the way that you know whether it's coming from the spirit or the ego. You may need to let go of some of the ego's anxiety. So the ebook, you said there was some kind of a little bit of nervousness. So a little bit of that.
No, the ebook was peaceful initially, but it just felt like a little bit of playing it small, not expansion. But when I came back to it after clarifying the decision, it felt more loving and more expansive.
Yeah, well, that's interesting, because then you're talking about the difference between the grandeur that the Course talks about, of the spirit, and grandiosity. Grandiosity is, I want to be bigger on the level of form, and the ego wants to puff itself up through some kind of worldly accomplishment, possessions, that kind of thing. That's grandiosity. And the grandeur of God is simple and clean, but it's got an infinite, it's taking you into this unlimited awareness. But that often looks on the level of form simple. Doesn't necessarily have to be the grand, big, hairy, impossible goal that they tell you to go for in personal growth seminars and goal setting seminars and stuff. Set your goal, and big, hairy, impossible goal, and reach to the stars, and and all of that. But do you feel peaceful while you're doing it? That's the question. If it doesn't feel peaceful and it disturbs your peace, then is that really the right course of action? Because the process, it makes sense. The process, if you're going towards infinite peace, an ultimate state of just eternal peace, then the process should be peaceful, shouldn't it? It should be bringing you more of that experience, because that's where you're going. If it's taking you away from peace, then it's taking you in the wrong direction. So it's a good decision tool. It's a good arbiter, the experience of peace related to any choice. That's, and then that can give you the guidance. As the quote says, and reinforced by by the lesson. Follow its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace. Okay, well, if its guidance the guidance of whatever voice is speaking doesn't bring you peace, then that's a clear sign that it's not of the spirit. It's the false self speaking, the ego. Yeah, and something to look forward to. We'll do a more advanced exercise on this at the end of the course. So it's the final session where you get clarity. If there's a decision, you need to move forward by taking that decision, then you'll get a lot of clarity on that. And that's 6 weeks away now, 6.5 weeks away. So whatever's arising then, use that situation. But in the meantime, this is quite a good little, an exercise you can do anytime to check and ask if what you're getting is correct. And it can save you a huge amount of pain, suffering, difficulty, trouble, just by checking. Really can. Just a few minutes could save you enormous amount of wasted time, effort, energy. Make a decision. Let's say you committed to the book. That's quite a major decision. You want to write a proper full book. That's going to take you, many hours. And then you committing to that path, and then once you're in it, you don't want to stop it because you've already written a few chapters, but maybe it's not feeling right. And then, that could cause a whole lot of disturbance of your peace and your flow when you just checked it and a decision tells you, no, actually, that's that's not the way. Go down a different track.
Yeah, it kept feeling like hard work every time I thought of it. So yeah, cool. Don't have to do it anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, maybe in a year or two or whatever, it changes. You don't know.
Oh,
But
sure.
now the Spirit does, it gives you the guidance now. That's the beauty of it. So what's appropriate now for your journey? Well, you're about to go into intensive 6 weeks. You got another year of the course, so maybe it's not appropriate now, but maybe in a couple of years it might be. You don't know. Doesn't mean it's forever off the table, but
Mm.
you can only download now, and that's the genius of this Holy Spirit. It knows exactly what you need to do now for your unfolding journey, and how that fits in with everyone else's journey towards oneness. That's the amazing thing, is how it synchronizes it. Hence the synchronicity word of Carl Jung coined. Okay, so that brings us to the lesson. Any other comments? Elaine, you want to share anything on that? Jackie, on that exercise? Elaine, how was that for you?
It was more general, because there's nothing in particular that I'm grabbing at, and more just my situation with my husband and just general. So it just gave a little bit of peace, but just a small shift. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Small miracles make up the overall plan of at oneness. And there actually is no size in them, no order of difficulty, and no size. They're all actually the same, because they're connecting you with your source, which is the same source. Okay, so let's. Is Jackie still with us, or is she gone?
She's gone to get a cup of tea.
Right. Okay, so let's have a look at today's. Let's look at today's lesson. So let's read it again. Who read it last time? You did, Sally. So Elaine, maybe you can read that for us.
Yeah.
Very appropriate. You're dressed in pink, so there we go. It's a pink themed, well, a little bit pink there.
Okay. This holy instant would I give to you, but you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. Alternatively, I am wholly aware that every moment my true self is in charge, and I follow guidance, knowing that it brings me peace.
Oh, sorry, that word maybe just needs to be a bit lighter. Yeah, follow its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace. So yeah, any thoughts on that?
It's being in the now, isn't it? Because when we're in the now, we're in the peace. Generally.
Yeah, the holy instant is the now.
Yeah.
So this moment, I'm wholly aware every moment. It's like I'm aware. My attention is rooted in the present moment, and I have this whole awareness, we call it. That's what holy means. So I'm wholly aware every moment, means I'm rooted in the now, and therefore my true self is in charge, because the true self comes in when we're present, and we're not thinking much about the past and the future. Doesn't consider, oh, this is what's happened in the past, therefore it's not conditioned. That's the point. It's not based on past conditioning. It's purely present. So then you see how powerful it is. You're free to be quite spontaneous in the moment. You're not limited and bound by your past conditioning. You can come up with something completely different, maybe you've never thought of before in the moment, because there's no past conditioning to govern it. And that's what we call inspiration. It's not bound by the past or the future expectations. The ego works on the past. Oh, well, I've done this in the past, that worked, so therefore let me do it in the future, and then I have an expectation of how the outcome should turn out in the future. So you're not really present, you're just thinking about the past and the future, and the present moment is obscured. Whereas this is saying I'm in my true awareness, I'm actually empty, open in the moment. And in that emptiness, I allow Spirit to come in and give me a thought, as he says here. Now, if I need a word, you want to read that?
And if I need a word to help me, he will give it to me. Alternative, the remembrance of perfect love will give me the words I need to help me.
Yeah, so it'll give me the words. If I need words, if I need a thought. Can you carry on?
And 2, if I need a thought, that will he also give. And it will also give me a thought whenever I need one. Carry on.
Yep.
And if I need but stillness and a tranquil open mind, these are the gifts I will receive of him.
They're saying, anything we need, this presence can give us. We just need to ask. We ask when we're in the moment, when we're clear, when we're aware, we're not obscured by past, future thoughts and related emotions. Then this awareness is with us. Then we're in whole awareness, and it will bring in the guidance, and that's the essence of the flow state. So you don't actually. The thing with flow is you don't actually know how you do it. How are you actually doing it? You don't know. It just happens, and you don't need to know, because if you start trying to figure out and going, well, how am I speaking right now, and how are these words flowing out, and how do I know what to say? Then you block the flow by that thought, don't you? And we've all had it. Sometimes you go, oh, like now I become self-conscious, block the flow. But if you don't think, and it's just spontaneous words, action arising, then it's fine. You stay in the flow. So, being in the now, not thinking about past and future and conditions and consequences and all that is essential. Which is a guidance. So get clear, and really the whole course is mind training to get you into a state where you can listen. You didn't give this to us in lesson 1. It's like, well, you're not ready for this. You have to do a whole lot of undoing first before you can be clear enough to listen to this guidance that's going to give you the words and the actions and the thoughts that you need. Make all the decisions. So that's why it's the final lesson. Okay, we've got to go through a whole lot of mind training and undoing to allow you to listen to this voice and not be sidetracked, not allow the ego to come in and distract you. So if you do this, again in a year's time, having gone through the full 1-year program, you might find that it's more, it just gets deeper and more meaningful. Your state of flow is heightened because of the mind training you've done, and it makes more sense. And experientially, this is something, it's not theoretical. He's saying you've got to live this. So he leaves us in the charge of our true self, the Christ and the Holy Spirit. He says, you've got to live this. And you live it day by day. It's nothing more that I can teach you. Just be guided. Listen to this voice. So the teaching is just designed to connect us with our true self and the Holy Spirit that will guide us. That's its purpose. It's really teaching us how to fish rather than giving us a fish. And sort of that parable of the fish. So that we can go and we can live this way ourselves, and just using his course and some of the pointers that he's given, and maybe continuing with the lessons just to keep us on track, we can stay in this very high state of awareness where there is no pain, suffering, sickness, loss, death. All these things aren't really real or true. Okay, then should we go to number 4 and 5? Sally, if you can, or Aurelie, are you on your mobile? Do you want to read? What does would you prefer someone else to read?
Yeah, where are you? Number 5, right?
At number 4, actually.
Number 4, sorry.
He's in charge by my request.
So he's in charge by my request. It is in charge by my request. And he will hear and answer me because he speaks for God, my Father, and his Holy Son. And it will hear and answer me because it speaks for pure formless awareness of perfect love, my source and its innocent extension. So it is the true self here, right?
Yeah, well, he's referring to the
the remembrance of perfect
the
love.
remembrance of perfect love. He is the Holy Spirit. But remember, the Holy Spirit and the Christ are really synonymous. The Christ is just the self that then perceives with the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit's function, he calls it the Holy Spirit when there's an interpretive function, and we need to interact in the world. So that's why we use the Holy Spirit in this context, because it's about the words and the actions and the thoughts. So it's the reinterpretation of the world by this power he calls the Holy Spirit, which is really the Christ, the true self that's able to then reinterpret.
So it is the Holy Spirit. Is that what you say? I'm confused now.
Well, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of another. The Christ. Maybe this will explain it. This is the Trinity explained in diagrammatic.
Yeah. So yeah, I did say true self. So isn't that the same? True self, Christ, it's the same.
Yeah. So the true self or the Christ then has these true perceptions, and those true perceptions are the Holy Spirit. So this movement, I've labeled the arrow as the Holy Spirit or the remembrance of oneness.
Okay.
So it's an interpretive function, Christ self, the one self. It now, on that position of absolute oneness, this now can interpret your experiences in this world. And that interpretation, the reinterpretation, is the Holy Spirit. It's that ability, shall we call it, that part of your mind that does that, he calls the Holy Spirit. So it's not really an entity as such. The Christ is the self, but it's this process of transforming perception based on oneness as the the foundation. That is the process of that's what he calls the Holy Spirit. And that's also called Christ's vision. Christ's vision, miracles, forgiveness. And don't get hung up on the terminology. The point is that it's a pointer. The word points you to the process that is required. Saying you must reinterpret all of your experiences from the perspective of perfect oneness. When you do that, then the Holy Spirit is guiding you. It's really just it's your true nature. It's your Christ self that's actually able to perceive things differently in the world, change its mind, change your mind. So instead of being rooted in the ego, you now move through the Holy Spirit into awareness of the Christ. And the more awareness you have of the Christ, the true self, the more you go into the state of pure formless awareness, perfect love, revelation. And that's just, in the end, the state you rest in. Realize there's nothing else really going on. Okay, does that kind of clarify it already?
There's a lot of word there on this, but yeah, I guess so. I guess I understand my own way, my own perfect
Yeah,
way.
there's a lot of words. I'm just, because there's different terminology that
Yeah.
that is used. So okay, when he talks about true perceptions or Christ's vision or miracles or forgiveness, he's talking about this process,
Mm-hmm.
which is
The
the Holy Spirit's
transformation, yeah.
function. Yeah. So it's the transformation, it's the reinterpretation. And that's the Holy Spirit's function. So the Holy Spirit has always got this interpretive function. Whereas the Christ sits, above this. But the reason why we need the idea of the true self or Christ is that it can still perceive. It's not just in revelation, just pure formless awareness. There's still a self here, higher self, capital self, that's able to perceive with the Holy Spirit and reinterpret. And so Christ and the Holy Spirit will deliver you back to God, which is why we need the Trinity. Ultimately, in ultimate reality, there is no Trinity because there's only perfect oneness. There's no separation in oneness. But in the illusion of separation, the Christ and the Holy Spirit are useful ideas to help us to go back to oneness, where they would be let go of. He does say that what God creates is eternal, so the Holy Spirit will remain to bless your creations or something in heaven. But is that then, doesn't have an interpretive function then? So it's not the Holy Spirit as we understand it in this world. It wouldn't be the Holy Spirit reinterpreting anything. It would just be gratitude, maybe acknowledgement that I'm just so pleased to be home and everything's perfect again, and maybe some awareness that never to do it again. I don't know. You did that before. Don't go there again. The separation is not a good idea. Who knows? We'll only find out when we get there exactly what this feels like. But I mean, at the moment, say Yeshua's in the state, but he still knows that there is some other dream going on. Otherwise, he wouldn't be speaking to us. He wouldn't have been able to transmit this. So his at one-ment is not complete until the whole mind has come back to oneness, you see. Because there's still a part of his mind that's split, because he has to acknowledge that there's the ego and a dream and an illusion. So he's actually working for his own at one-ment, but just doing it from a non-physical level, which we would, I guess, join and become part of that when we depart the physical level and there's no need for a body anymore. We would join the Christ mind above the level of form, as the Christ idea that's there to help people to awaken to it and to the source. It's a long term. This is going to go on for
I feel like I keep failing this. I keep failing at this every time I get triggered and react and lose it. It's really,
well, you're not really failing, you're just learning. So okay, well, if you're aware that you got triggered and reacted, which you obviously are, otherwise you couldn't say, well, I got triggered and reacted, then you're not failing, are you? Because you're aware of it.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like I feel like I'm failing to connecting to source every time. Or like to connect to that love, to perfect love.
Well, that's why it's a process. And he says, start with the one self. Start with the reinterpretation from the perspective of oneself. So if you can go in a situation, let's say someone said something or done something and you're feeling angry or upset or whatever, you can go, okay, well, I can conceptually remind myself that you are the same as me. There is really only one self here. So there's really only one of us. And you dwell on that and you bring that into your mind and you allow that to kind of permeate into your awareness. You'll find that there is a shift in your perception.
Yeah, but how
You
can,
no
okay,
longer be as
so
upset.
concretely, sorry, I'm trying to understand how this works, because if, for example, someone else breaks something, how can you say you broke it because you're one and the same? So I cannot say it's me who broke it if it's the other person who broke something that keeps putting blame on you for breaking something, even though the person is the one that breaks the things, and
Yeah, but
projecting it
it's not-
onto you. Like, why is it that the blame has to, or the judgment or the blame has to always be like on the other person? Like here, I feel like I'm the one receiving the blame
always
all the
getting
time,
blamed.
or the projection of guilt, basically.
But then can you see that it's your own ego projecting that guilt upon you to try and make you feel guilty and separate?
Yeah, I guess I'm taking it on, that projection. Yeah.
So, this is how the ego works. It uses other people to project its thought system out into the world. And it's a thought system that must be in your mind, otherwise you wouldn't be human and you wouldn't be experiencing what you experience. So now you get to look on the projection of your own thought system, because it's your own thought system. That idea of guilt and sin and condemnation is the ego. So it's still in your mind. And if you're getting triggered and you're reacting, it means that it's still there and you need to let it go.
Yeah, but it's frustrating because this morning I did a whole actually release prayer. I did really like releasing all these emotions. I released them, and then this situation happens. So I don't know, like, to what level do you actually release? I thought I really released it, but I guess not, because this situation happened and it's still there. Obviously, the anger.
And then you got triggered again. Yeah.
Sorry?
And then you got triggered again when the situation happened.
Yeah. So how I don't get this. Like, I'm working on releasing, but it's not working because it's like
No, but
still there.
really, you got to be patient. It doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, you're talking about
Really, that would be so beautiful.
You're releasing, your ego here. This is lifetimes of conditioning, programming, karma. So you go, okay, well, I've released, and then I've released, but it's like, okay, we'll carry on releasing, because the ego's come back. I mean, remember what it does, it defends. So you did a releasing, you're like, right. So then it's like, okay, well, now we need to get you back into line with this insane thought system. So it then uses the external world. Someone projects, blames you, and it triggers you, because it needs you to go back into the limited separate self that believes in guilt and blame and fear and attack in order to exist. And so it arises again, and then you go, okay, well, then I've got to let it go again. And that's an ongoing process for the rest of your life. You might get a lot better at it. I'm not saying you stay in the same state of being triggered all the time, because I think you can get better at it. For sure, practice makes perfect. You can get a lot better at letting go, and you can do it quicker. And maybe you get to a point where these things that used to trigger you don't trigger you. But if they're still triggering you, then you've got one option. Well, you've got two options. Those are the two choices I talked about, but only one real option. The one is, the ego's option is, okay, we'll just get triggered and go into that feeling of being a victim and feeling resentful and angry and dwell on that. That's its option. But that's never going to make you feel happy. There's no real answer there. So the other one is, well, let it go again.
Yeah,
and then
that's
your
what I
ego
worked
says,
on
why do I
this
have to do it
morning.
again? I did it this morning.
Sorry?
Then your ego says, why do I have to do it again? I did it this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you have to do it again because your ego is still in business. That's why.
Yeah, he's definitely in business. That's for sure.
It hasn't been undone yet. So then you do it again, and you carry on doing it until until it gets undone and you don't get triggered and those
Mhm.
kinds of thoughts and emotions don't arise. And you're just getting the great opportunity because you're getting the triggers now. It's actually good because it means you're going to get triggered, and then you can release those thoughts and emotions that make up your ego. If you didn't get triggered, then how do you know what to release?
Yeah, it
So you
feels
just
like
gotta
the
kinda
ego
go,
is
okay,
getting
we'll bring it
stronger and
on.
stronger every time, every situation.
So bring it on then. Let's just keep going. There's only one answer here, and that's to keep letting go. So as much as the ego triggers you, and as much as it gives rise to its fear and anger and guilt and sin and the whole, really pretty awful thought system, that's how much you say, okay, well, I need to let go even more. I've got to drop it. There's only one option here that makes any sense. And if you determine and you keep doing that, then the ego must go eventually. But it's a persistent delusion. Einstein, said life's an optical delusion of consciousness, albeit a rather persistent one. It's very persistent.
Sorry?
It's a very persistent belief.
Mhm.
This belief in separation,
Yeah.
and that we are separate selves and that we human and all the stuff that happens in our human lives is real. Very persistent belief.
Mm.
It's not going to be undone overnight. It's a lifelong, process.
That would be a miracle.
It can occasionally happen. You do get people who wake up instantly, but then often their path was not instant to get there. It was a long, hard road. Like take Eckhart Tolle. He just had an experience where it's like bing, and he kind of got it, and he was in deep peace. He didn't really understand what had happened to him, so he still needed to do some work to integrate it and to understand what had happened. But he attained, his ego by and large collapsed from the sounds of it in one night. It was one moment of realization. But he'd had to go through 29 years of intense suffering to get there. So that wasn't just overnight. That was a 29-year process, and all of his lifetimes preceding that led to that. For most of us, it's more like gradual. So, okay, well, just keep doing the work. It's what I call the way of mastery. I think you hear that chat. I talked about the way of mastery versus the way of the cross. And the way of the cross is I'm not going to do the work. I'm not going to let go, forgive. I'm going to be unconscious, and I'm just going to dwell in the ego, and things get worse and worse. And until it's so bad, I'm really, suffering, that there's a kind of crack in that, as happened with Eckhart Tolle, and I kind of awakened, but it's massive pain. It's awakening. This is the way of mastery, where you consciously letting go all the time. So, okay, I'm just going to, I know the principles. I'm going to be conscious. I'm going to be aware, wholly aware, every moment, and vigilant. And when the ego comes in, I'm going to be aware of it. I'm going to let it go. And so it might not be as dramatic, but slowly but surely, subtly, gradually, day by day, I'm going to shift. And every time I catch the ego and I let it go, and I find more peace, that's a miracle. I'm correcting my mind. So but I realize it's a long-term process. This is an ongoing process, and so I don't get impatient for instant results. I just keep doing it. So I think behind this, you're frustrated because you have an expectation that the results should be quicker. Am I right?
Yeah, because I feel like I've been doing this work for so long already, for so long.
Yeah, but I mean, how long in time?
Well, I started doing training, like releasing stuff in 2011. Well, actually, even before that, but probably more than that, because I did some healing before that as well.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe 15 years or something.
Yeah.
Okay, but in the grand scheme of things, already that's nothing. In all of time, right? We've been doing this for something like 15 billion years, they say. We can't even conceive of that number. That's 15 with 9 zeros after it, right? Years. And you're saying 11 years. is a long time. I mean, it's a drop in the ocean, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
fraction. It's infinitesimal. It's over like that in the grand scheme of things.
Mm.
So we have to have patience. It's like, okay, well, we've taken 15 billion years to screw ourselves into this screwed up place we call Earth and this reality. It's going to take a bit of time, maybe a lifetime is really quick. If you can do it in this lifetime, it's a sprint, isn't it? That's like a massive, you've accomplished something extraordinary in one lifetime. If you can do
Yeah,
it.
that would be amazing if it's accomplished
There
in
you
this
go.
lifetime.
So have the perspective of the lifetime. You know, you're in, I don't know how old you are, 30s, 40s, somewhere around there. Am I
In
right?
the 40s, yeah.
You're in your 40s. So you've got another, maybe if you live an average life, another 30, 40 years to go, maybe longer. So just have that as your timeline. It's okay, well, if I can do it in the next 40 years, then I'm doing really well. In all of time, that's a sprint. That's actually a miracle that I can do it in one lifetime. And the Buddhists, some of the Buddhist teachings, they go, oh, well, you know, you actually at quite an advanced level now. You've only got 7 lifetimes to go. And where they pull this stuff out, I think it's another, you know, ego obstacle. I don't think it has to take 7 lifetimes necessarily. But in some of these teachings, you know, they acknowledge this can take many, many lifetimes. So if you could do it in one using this Course in Miracles process that Yeshua's given you, that's a miracle itself. And that's extremely quick. That's extraordinarily fast. Given that you might have been here for 1,000 lifetimes already. You know, this might be your 1,000 and something lifetime. And you're going 11 years is not. Do you see what I mean? You got to get a sense of perspective on this beyond just this time horizon of your very limited lifespan here. So look at the overall span of time, 15 billion years. We can't even conceive of how long that is. So say, okay, one lifetime. That's, you know, and that's a sprint. You can do it in one lifetime, you're doing really well. And then I just, okay, every day I get up and every day I'm just vigilant and I'm in my awareness. And if I'm aware if stuff comes up and I let it go. And he's saying that's all you have to keep doing. If you keep doing that, the ego's got no answer to this process of forgiveness or letting go, but you've got to keep doing it. And the ego will tell you, it's very cunning. It's going to tell you, no, it's not happening quickly enough. Look somewhere else. This letting go stuff's not working. You're going to need some quicker solution. Yeah, I mean, you probably had these thoughts, but actually, it's just persevere.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. Just persevere with it. And if stuff keeps coming up, go, okay, well, this is good because I'm getting to really go deeper into my subconscious and bring all the stuff up, which is what needs to happen for me to let it go. So it's good. This is the process that I need to go through. And if the people in my environment are triggering me, great, bring it on, because that's what I need to awaken. More letting go, you see. So it's just a, you know, change. It's a change in, just change your mindset a bit and say, okay, it's, you know, I'm in this for the long haul. And so this is going to be my practice for the rest of my life. And okay, so every day I get up and things arise and I let go. And that will probably be still the case when you're 70. But maybe you just got a lot better at it. You don't get triggered as much. It's just much easier. You just, okay, something arises and you just let it go very easily. So the quicker you let go, you know, the more enlightened you are. The longer you hold on, the more of a hold the ego's got. And then you get tested on it and life will show. It will show you, okay, well, that's where you are. And maybe, you know, you thought you were further ahead and then, you know, you just go live with your parents for a while. You know, I've done it. So, okay. I thought I was really advanced and actually I realized that there's still some stuff.
Yeah,
Definitely
always, there's
to
always
let go
stuff.
of. Yeah. You know, the ego arises in those situations, doesn't it?
Yeah, all the time.
So you just got to smile and go, okay, well, that's all right. It's just a process. And I'm in it for the long haul. The Spirit's with me. I just keep being aware, keep letting go, and that's how my journey will flow forward. That's my hero's journey unfolding from, if I just keep doing this. The frustration is just the ego saying, no, it should happen quicker. So, and then it's very cunning, because actually it doesn't want you to undo it. So then it's going to try and get you stuck in that and say, oh, we'll just abandon this. Don't forget this letting go stuff. It doesn't work. Find something else. You see? So that you stop doing it, because it's going to try everything it can to stop you really letting go.
You're saying the frustration comes from
the
ego, yeah.
Yeah, only
Yeah.
the ego can be frustrated. Spirit doesn't know about that emotion at all. Remember, the Holy Spirit is just perfect love. That's all it knows. So it's never going to sponsor an emotion of frustration. Frustration is of the ego. So then, you say I'm frustrated because I want to escape, but then that's another fetter, that's another block to the awareness of love's presence that the ego is brought in there. To block, remember, all it's trying to do is block this awareness. It doesn't want you to know that you're the true self, the Christ. It doesn't want you to know pure formless awareness of perfect love in your own experience. So frustration will do, anxiety will do, anger will do, anything to block that. And you just got to look at all those blocks and go, no, it's all false. No, I'm not having it anymore. I want this experience alone. I want pure formless awareness of perfect love alone. That's all. That's all that's real. That's all I'm accepting into my mind.
Yeah, that's what I want.
So how much do you want it is the question. When the ego comes and it triggers you again, then okay, I want this, I choose only this. The only option then is to let go, isn't it? There's no other way. You're gonna have it. Letting go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence is the only way you'll come back into the awareness of love's presence. Okay, so is that helpful? I hope.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
No, you probably know a bit of Afrikaans because you spent some time in the Cape. So vasbyt, they call it.
Sorry?
Did you ever hear the word vasbyt?
No, not sure.
Okay, I thought it just means like grit your teeth and like go, just have some determination. It's like, okay, I'm in this process and I'm just going to carry on doing the process. I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
I feel like a teeth, like I'm kind of got the bit between my teeth and I'm going to go for this. Not in an angry, aggressive, frustrated way. It's like, okay, I'm determined. There's a quiet determination. But like, I'm determined. I understand that it's a process, and the ego is going to come and do its thing. But I'm absolutely determined to see this through, and then you will. The ego's got no answer to that kind of determination. It's ongoing determination to just keep practicing and letting go. Okay, so we have done the lesson. Any other thoughts or comments, questions on this lesson? We'll do it again one more time tomorrow. So yeah, right now, what's the time? Nearly 20 past. We could have a quick look at the introduction. I suggest we do a meditation first. Shall we do the meditation? 20-25 minutes, and then we could, Sally said she's got until 3 o'clock, so we could carry on for another 15 minutes if you want. It's actually a lovely poem I can share, which nice. So maybe I'll guide you through that in the meditation, actually. So shall we do that? Should we do a 20-minute, 25-minute med now? Okay, so just making you comfortable. And sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, Cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Just pausing at the top of the inhale. Pinch your sphincter muscle, lock the energy in. Drawing the energy up the spine. To your heart center, put one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. Just bringing to mind any thoughts and emotions going on for you. What occurred in the last few hours today. Anything negative, limiting, contracted, constricting. Just breathe into it. Just bring in some spacious awareness, light. Into your mind, into your heart, to your energy system. And you just scan your mind, observe what's going on. Maybe notice a dissipation there of the energy, some more peace arising to help you to bring this experience of peace in. Say to yourself, this holy instant would I give to you. Or I'm wholly aware right now. My true self is in charge. So be you in charge, is the original. My true self is in charge. For I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. I follow its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace. Its guidance is always to let go of any disturbances to your peace. Holy Spirit will never tell you to get disturbed and peaceful. So you exhale. Blow it all out. So breathe of your breath. From the stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here in peace and stillness for a few moments. Know you've let go when there's peace in your heart. So feel into your heart, put one hand in your heart center, breathe in. It's peaceful presence. To your heart. Dropping all your attention into your heart center. And feel this presence we call the Holy Spirit in your mind, in your heart. It's a remembrance of perfect love. It's guiding you. Every thought, every word, every action. and say, if I need a word to help me, this presence will give it to me. Remembrance of the perfect love will give me the words I need to help me. I need a thought, so that will it also give. It'll also give me thought whenever I need one. And if I need only stillness and a tranquil open mind, these are the gifts I'll receive from it. So whatever you need in your experience, it will give. And will just come in a very flowing, gentle way. Where it isn't charged by my request. And it will hear and answer me because it speaks for God, pure forms, awareness of perfect love. My Father, my source, and His Holy Son. Just its innocent extension. Speaks for pure forms, awareness of perfect love, my source and its innocent extension. And let it speak to you now. Breathe it in to pour every body, every cell, every muscle, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is fused with this perfect love. And peace that it brings. So let that peace deepen and intensify. So just observe your breath, breathing in and out through your nose. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Surrender into this stillness. Surrender into the peace. It's been called the peace of perfect love that surpasses all understanding. Surrender into this, experience it fully. It is you, you're it. There is no boundary between you and it. And just rest here in this perfect peace and stillness. Next. Minutes of deep silence. Or any thoughts come in to seemingly disturb this deep peace. Just observe them casually and breathe into them. They are not really real. Just illusions. It's trying to cover over your peace, distract you from the truth of who you are. So you just let them go, breathe into them, whatever they are. Fear, anxiety, frustration, anger, depression, sadness, guilt, sin, and so on. All that. It's just a block to the awareness of love's presence. Recognize it as such. Then breathe in and remind yourself that my true self is in charge and I follow its guidance, knowing that it brings me peace. And then surrender into this peace again. Let it take you. It's soft and warm in its embrace, and you just sink into it like sinking into a really soft bed, feather duvet. Sink in, let this peace envelop you. Now listen to this short prayer, short poem, really. This could be a prayer as well by Helen Schucman, called The Song of Peace. So the melody of peace is always there. Neither dies nor wavers. It remains a calm, soft sound, more still in silence. And an ageless recollection in the minds that God created. Ceaselessly it sings to all the world. Let it remember Him. So we remember this peace. It's like the echo of our source, pure forms of awareness, perfect love that extended us and extends us. Experience peace, it's the echo of that in our minds. Sounds of earth are quieted for this ancient melody. Speaks of love in limitless dimensions. Where is fear? And God, or pure forms of awareness of perfect love, has guaranteed that He is here. This presence is here now. How can you fear when right now you can access this presence? And just sink into this presence for another minute or so of deep silence. Give thanks for this presence of peace that comes from your source. It's eternally there, you just haven't been aware of it for most of your life. But now you can be fully, wholly aware of it for the next minute or so of deep silence. And so just come back into an awareness of the body, breath, senses in the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind, notice what's going on, thoughts, emotions, body sensations related to these. Just noticing all that. It's a very still, calm, and surrendered state. Breathe into that. Just remind yourself that the melody of peace is always there. Peace is my natural state, my natural right. When I follow my guidance of my true self, it brings me peace. When I exhale, the truth of that, blowing away any last scraps of any disturbance to your peace, like dark clouds just being blown away with the breeze of your breath, gone, leaving you. Blow it all out, pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out, rest. A few moments in this deep peace and stillness. Notice on the count of 2, the weight of your body pressing down into the chair and your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling with your hands and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Noticing all these things was a very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. There are no illusions, just clear, calm awareness. So still perceive, but perceptions are not distorted by negative thoughts and emotions. Blocks to the awareness of love's presence, in other words. So it doesn't matter what you perceive, taste, touch, hear, smell. It doesn't matter, you're unaffected by all these sense perceptions. Just stay rooted in your true awareness, guides you, and the state of peace, which in action we call flow. When you're peaceful, underlying happiness and peace, and you're able to act in that way, then You're in a state of flow. Now on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a moment to go around the room, observing various objects in the room around you in this, quite calm, detached way. So no, we have to interpret them and judge them and label them. Just allow them to be. They just kind of rest in this field of awareness, peaceful awareness. Out your mind commenting on them, look at something else. Notice that it's the same. It just looks at that field of awareness and observes from a very peaceful state of mind. So you start seeing them, perceiving, experiencing that this peace is always there. It's never not there. So it's actually your default state. The more you stay in it, the more you recognize it as your default state. This is your natural state, who you really are. And the ego, with all of its disturbances of that peace, is unnatural. So you choose between them. You choose peace over disturbance of peace, and that's the ultimate choice we all make. So just keep you in this peaceful state and helping you make that choice. Practice today's lesson frequently, ideally every hour. Yeshua recommends you can listen to the short 5-minute breath break I sent you to do that, or follow the instructions in your Telegram email message, which should take you under a minute to do that. So just top up this peaceful presence. Use it especially if you're feeling at all challenged by anything, if you feel like you're going out of flow, to correct your mind and stay in flow. So that, so it is said, so is done. So be it. Amen. And it brings us to the end of the meditation, and think of the session as well. Could carry on a bit if you want to, but it seems like a natural conclusion to it. So what's your feeling, Elaine? Already happy to end it there? You're muted, Elaine.
Is that it?
Yeah, there we go. Can you hear now?
Yeah, no, that was very relaxing. And even I was getting triggered by external. My pets were jumping on me and they were fighting. I just let it. That's
Let it go.
good. Yes, so that was interesting. Rather than, so that was good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if you can learn to, you see what we're practicing, if you can learn to just observe your sensations. So that's why at the end of the meditation, let's take observe, what you're feeling, touching, hearing, and ultimately open your eyes and what you see. But don't react. Just be in the same peaceful state that you have when your eyes are closed is actually the same state that you have when your eyes are open.
Interesting, yeah, because normally I would be joining in with them. This time I just let them have.
We're so used to reacting to our sense perceptions, because that's the way we wired up as human beings. Oh, something happens, we react, and then our thoughts and our emotions go, are really being dictated to by the external world. That's the system the ego has created for us. That enslaves us, because now we're not in control of our thoughts and our emotions. We seem to be controlled by the external world. Some stimulus comes in, we perceive it, we go, oh, now I react, and I have all kinds of disturbances to my peace then all the time. Inevitably, if you're reacting to the external world. If you can learn to orient yourself so that your locus of control, it's called, is internal.
Yeah.
So I'm not reacting to external things. My locus of control is I make a decision that I am the one self. I am peaceful. I am wholly aware. I make that decision. I establish that the state, and you do a spiritual practice like meditation or something to get in there. but then I choose to stay there. You know, and my decision is what determines my state, not my sense perceptions.
So is that classed as what happened there in that moment, a miracle? Because normally my reaction would be shouting at them and telling them off.
Yeah,
Instead, I
exactly.
let them.
Well,
So that was a miracle.
You
Oh, wow.
change your state. You see, you change your inner state. You're more peaceful, and then your behavior changed accordingly. You didn't react, and you didn't shout at them and get up.
The
And
normal, yeah.
so there was a transformation internally from the inner domain because you're doing a meditation. You're in a peaceful state, and then the external changed accordingly. You didn't behave in the same way.
Mm.
So there's a more peaceful, then you behave more lovingly, more peacefully, kindly towards them
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
a
'cause-
result. And that's a little miracle. Now
Right,
you go,
but
well,
it's-
that's nothing extraordinary, but it
But
is
it's
kind
still
of
a little-
extraordinary. It is
Right.
extraordinary because you just changed the pattern. It might have been for many years, you might have been doing that without really being conscious of it. You know, pets do something and I react and I get, okay, well, hang on. Now you just changed that. Okay, well, if you can do it once, you can do it again and again, can't you?
With human beings next, yes, that would.
Human
Yes.
beings, yeah, anything, you know, because
Yeah.
what he's trying to teach us is that there is no order of difficulty
Mm,
in miracles. He's saying it doesn't matter what the trigger is at all. He's saying you can apply the same methodology. So whether it's your pets, okay, maybe that's a minor intrusion of discomfort,
Yeah, yeah.
or you know, a husband who's doing stuff you
yes.
don't want him to do.
True.
That's more major, or maybe, you know, major crisis. Suddenly you get diagnosed with cancer or something, or some friend or your you know, close friends, family. What he's saying is it doesn't matter because it's all the same, right? It's all the external world, and it's designed by the ego to trigger you. That's why we invented it, to trigger us so that the thoughts and emotions that characterize the ego, the fear and the guilt and the sin and the attack thoughts, and on and on it goes, all of that is now justified apparently by some external circumstance or event. You see how ingenious the ego is? Because if you were in mind, in pure formless awareness, there's no justification for any of those things. Be like, well, why am I getting angry or upset? Or, I mean, there would be no trigger. So it's invented a world to justify itself, so that it keeps getting triggered and it keeps replaying the same thoughts and emotions, so that it can maintain a separate identity. So your perception of the world then becomes quite critical, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's what's getting you all the time to justify the negative thoughts and emotions which keep the ego going. So you've got to change your perception of the world. You do that through realizing what it is. All right, it's a setup. I'm being set up for this projection perception game show that the ego is indulging in, and it's trying to get me to react constantly to whatever seems to be happening in a negative way. Negative means it negates my true awareness. So it's a covering over. It negates that true self and that true state of awareness, which is peaceful. So anything that covers over, anything that disturbs your peace is negative. Negates the peaceful awareness that you truly are. When you can identify that, and you go, I see that that's triggered me, and I notice that thought and emotion arising, then you're not fully asleep, are you? Because there's a part of your mind that's able to be aware of that and notice it. And that part of your mind, which is the Holy Spirit, can now say, we'll make a different decision. And then you don't have to react that way. You can choose to let it go, and you could just be kind to them instead. And then often what happens is the trigger dissipates because you didn't react to it. Then the situation just kind of calms down.
Sorted itself out.
Because
Yeah.
you didn't react to it. Because if you fuel it with the ego's reactivity, then you're actually fueling the cause. And so that'll happen more. You know, you react to your pets, you notice that they then just do it all the time and you keep reacting. So it becomes a pattern. So you're trying to rewire the patterns of your mind and then of your life by doing this. So that you don't react in the same conditioned way that you've always reacted in. Because there's a fundamental change of mind that happens when you get tempted. So like now, you were in a very peaceful state and you just, well, I've established a state of peace. Why would I react if I'm peaceful? It's okay. I'm not really disturbed. My peace of mind is not disturbed. So you're teaching yourself that your locus of control is internal. You can establish yourself in peace and nothing can disturb that peace, because that's your decision and that's your true nature. So by your decision, it is so. You know, we say, oh, amen as a prayer. So be it. So be it. I'm in peace. So be it. And that's more powerful. That decision is more powerful than the triggers that the ego will give you. It's more powerful than all the triggers in the world. That's what he's saying. You can overcome any apparent trigger, any justification for the ego through that decision to be who you are, Christ, and apply the Holy Spirit's perception to the situation from the Christ self. So you see how it works. It's actually really simple, but to do it is the challenge. To actually do it in practice and not get triggered when it happens. And if you do get triggered, you observe it and you go, okay, I'm aware of it. That's all right. So next time I'll be more vigilant. I won't allow that to happen again. So then everything's a learning, you know. Okay, maybe you didn't handle that so well, but you learn from it, and the next time you get better, because we're not great at. I mean, think about any new skill you're trying to practice in the world. You weren't great at it the first time you did it. Probably pretty hopeless, actually. But then, you know, you do it again, and the next time you get a bit better, and the next time better, and so on until, you know, the 100th time you do it, it's like, okay, there's some kind of ease and comfort there, and there's mastery that's developed. It's much easier. So forgiveness is the same thing. It's like initially, people say, I'm never going to get this, but you persevere and you keep practicing, and it gets a bit easier, it gets a bit better, and your triggers become, you know, not as much triggers you. You're much more impervious, and you don't get triggered for as long. So it's like, maybe, okay, I got triggered, but very minorly. It was just for a minute or two, and then I was able to correct. And every time you correct, that's a miracle. That's what he's saying. So you might have many times in a day where you do a correction, and that's a miracle. So then you're living in the domain of the miraculous, this constant correction, which is then learning your lessons, you know, every day. That's how you move towards the in the at-one-man process towards ultimate enlightenment, is day by day doing those little corrections. It's not really a big deal, actually. You're saying, like, this isn't that, but you have to be able to do it. So that's what the mind training is for, to actually have the awareness to do it is why we need the mind training. And then, you know, orally, you don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake. So it's okay, made a mistake. It happens. You know, that's all. Yes, you're saying everything's just a mistake. You know, sin is what you thought of as sin and guilt and terror is just a mistake, which can be undone if you don't give it importance. So you don't beat yourself up over mistakes. No, we can just let it go. All right. And that's the way you flow forward with this stuff. Just in your daily life, every day is the lesson. So, okay, well, I got triggered. So that was a lesson. Great. I learned something. I can be better next time. More vigilant, you know. So it requires this ongoing vigilance of your mind. You've got to watch your mind. Watch your mental and emotional reactions all the time, so that you're aware if something comes in that's not wanted. Because previously you might not have even been aware. The ego does its thing. It's hijacked your mind. You're not even aware of it. So then how can you let it go if you're not even aware of it? It's just taken over. So that's what it wants, no awareness. But if you have the awareness, then you're not failing. You're actually succeeding on some level, because just having that awareness means that now there is another awareness other than the egos, and you're in that when you're aware of the ego from that higher state of awareness. And then you can cultivate that by letting go. You're choosing actively to cut away the ego's thought system, and you're choosing this awareness to arise more and more. So that's why forgiveness or letting go is the choice for your higher awareness or your true self. And there's no other way really to choose it. To actively choose and say, I'm choosing that, it requires the relinquishment of the alternative, you see, to choose it. So I'm choosing my true self, but there's still a false self going on. Now I have a split mind. Now, in order to clear that confusion up, I must let go of the false self, so that then there's only the true self remaining. So by forgiving or letting go of the false self, we are making a choice for the true self by default. So say, okay, well then just forgive or let go, and that's all you have to do, and then everything will follow. Really easily and flowingly. Okay, so any other thoughts to share, Aurelie?
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate what you just said, actually, about the false self and the true self, because there's always a lot of confusion with these voices. Yeah, it's funny that actually someone in the group today shared about to quiet the mind, right? Mahim, in the other group, she shared about how to quiet the mind, or the voice, because we always have these two voices, the ego voice or the true self. The true self voice, right? So it's about really listening to the true self voice, but it's not always easy. Sometimes
so
the
how you
ego
listen
takes
to
over.
the true self is you let go of the ego, you see, because then there's no other voice. So that's Yesha's methodology. He's saying just let go of what's not you, and what's blocking your true awareness, and then what will reveal itself is your true awareness. And you don't have to try and be that, because you are that already. You don't have to try and be what you truly are. You just have to let go of what you're not. So that's the whole methodology. It's a letting go. It's a cutting away. It's a bit like, instead of painting a masterpiece, if you take an art analogy, painting a masterpiece would be take a blank canvas and you're going to paint your life on the canvas. And that's not what A Course in Miracles is. The Course in Miracles, you're a sculptor, and you're actually taking a block of marble and you're cutting away everything that doesn't belong there to reveal your true self, which incidentally is how probably the greatest sculptor of all time sculpted his masterpieces. He did exactly that. Michelangelo, they asked him how he did the David, and he said, well, I just cut away what wasn't David. And what David was already inside, it just needed to be revealed, which is, an interesting mindset. He wasn't creating something as much as revealing something. And interesting that, he got it absolutely perfect. It's the most perfectly proportioned statue. So he tapped into something. He was tapping into spirit, but then revealed the perfect statue that was in there as a symbol of the perfection of the Christ within that, maybe Michelangelo was tapping into, because he obviously understood some of the stuff if he was saying things like that. To cut away everything that's not you.
Yeah, but that's why I was frustrating, because I did a lot of releasing this morning, a lot of releasing of emotions, like doing some work, some healing work. And then I get triggered in this situation. I'm like,
how long did it take Michelangelo to sculpt his masterpiece?
Yeah, a long time.
Years. Yeah, years and years and years. It wasn't a quick process to do that. And every day get up, and he didn't go, oh, I'm tired of this now. He just chiseled away. He's like, okay, we'll just keep tapping away. Just chisel a little bit. That's just take that off and, just fine tuning, so that eventually the masterpiece was revealed. So it's a good analogy. Say,
Yeah.
okay, well, I've just got to keep doing this, chiseling away as the ego reveals itself, which it does when you get triggered. Then I can now do some more work. This is good. It's showing me the ego, and I can chisel away and I can let some more of it go so that I'm free of it. So this is good. So you welcome it. Because it's a process. That's why I become process oriented. If you outcome oriented,
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's about trusting the process.
it's just you rate it like in quickly enough. Trust the process. It's a process. Enlightenment's a process, and you're in your process, and so your process is that yes, the ego arises. That's the process. It will arise. So don't get upset about it. Just go, okay, that's the process of undoing it. I accept that, and I do now all I can do, which is to let it go. In this instance, as it's arising, I can let it go, and you apply some forgiveness. You can do the workbook lesson for the day, or you can use a lot of processes you can use to let go.
Sorry, which process? It was bugging. It was bugging when you were saying it's different processes.
There's many in the course. You're going to learn a number of processes.
Oh yeah.
I give you the tools. It's like there's a 10-step letting go process. That's quite effective. There's the instrument for peace worksheet. That's effective. There's the Ho'oponopono process. That's also effective. It's shorter. There's the lessons are letting go exercises themselves. He's giving us those as the ongoing practice of forgiveness. That's why there's a daily lesson. This is applied to every situation that arises in your life today. So there's many, ways you can do it. You could just sit quietly and observe your sensations. That's another way. So we'll do some Vipassana type meditation where you just observe sensation without judgment. And it's all part of the letting go.
Yeah, I've done Vipassana retreats as well. A few of them.
Oh yeah, they're useful.
No.
But this is saying, let's make it very explicit that you're letting go. That's really, I think, what distinguishes the course from maybe some other spiritual teachings. It's saying you must let go of the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So it's an active process of identifying the blocks, being aware of them, and then choosing to let them go. So there's a 2-step process to it. I must be aware of them first, otherwise I can't choose step 2 to let them go.
Yeah.
And that's the simple methodology of forgiveness. I prefer to call it letting go, because what you're actually doing is letting go of those thoughts and emotions. You don't really forgive someone. What you do is you let go of your negative thoughts and emotions towards them. That's what you're doing. So that's what forgiveness really means.
Yeah.
I'm just clear. I've let go of all of the negative thoughts and emotions that were there, and I'm clear, and I'm in a state of loving, peaceful awareness now. Now I've forgiven you. If it was towards a person, then I've forgiven you. If I'm in that state of loving, peaceful awareness. But it's actually impossible to forgive someone else. You see that? Because they're not someone else. How can you forgive someone else when they're not even there? But you can let go of your negative thoughts and emotions towards them, which block the awareness that you are one with them, that you are the same person as them, you're the same self. That's what forgiveness really means.
So why you say they're not really there when the people are there?
They're not really there. They're illusions. It's all illusion already. It's the form of the person, a separate person with a separate identity with a body, is an illusion. There is no other self than the Christ. They are really the same as you.
Yeah.
So they're not really there. The illusion that there's someone else, there's other people, is part of the illusion of this world. And it continuously trips us up because we see them as other, don't we?
Yeah.
Oh, there they are. They're someone other than me. They've got a body. They've got their own identity, their own name, and they've got their own ideas and thoughts, and they disagree with me. So now I feel separate. But that's the primary illusion of the ego. That there's another, there's separation. There really are other people. And this is healing that and saying, no, there aren't really other people. You're mistaken. Seems to be the case, but that's just the illusion. It's seeming, but not true reality. So you can only let go of your own negative thoughts and emotions towards that person. You can't really forgive another person because there isn't another person. What does it mean to, I forgive you? What does that actually mean? Most people don't understand what that means, do they? Maybe they think,
It's
well,
interesting we
I
talk
shouldn't
about
judge you as much.
Sorry?
Well, it's there are various versions of forgiveness, which we covered in one of the sessions. We'll look at it again in the course. But compassionate forgiveness would say, oh, well, I shouldn't judge you. I should be a better person. So, and you might have had a tough life, and your life's difficult, and you had sour breast milk, or whatever you want to, however you want to do it, to soften your judgment. But the problem is, it's still real in your mind. The person's still other than you, and they've still done what they did. Now you've got to somehow soften your judgment of it. Whereas the radical forgiveness just says that none of it's real. They're not really another person. They don't really exist. They couldn't really do this to you. This was never really done. So you can remain in your true awareness, which transcends all this, which is before time and space seem to be invented by the ego. And then it's completely let go. Then it's completely forgiven. There would be no negative thought and emotion at all if you've really done that correction, and then you're back in your true awareness. You see that? So to forgive someone else means that you've let go of your negative thoughts and emotions towards them completely.
To what? Can you say that again? To forgive?
To forgive someone else is to let go of your own negative thoughts and emotions towards them.
Yeah.
Completely. That's what forgiveness really means.
Yeah.
So I have no anger, no hostility, no aggression, no judgment, no, all of that's gone. So I'm just clear. I'm in a state of peaceful, loving awareness. And in that awareness, I recognize that I'm really one with you. You're the same awareness as me. And I can't recognize that until I've restored my mind to my true awareness. And the only way I can help you to become aware of yourself is if I'm aware of myself. If I'm in that awareness, maybe I can bring you into it and show you that awareness, demonstrate it for you. But if we both in our separate selves judging each other, then the true self is covered over and we're in an illusion. So forgiveness collapses the belief in separation. See that? As a consequence of letting go of your negative thoughts and beliefs, and emotions towards someone, you let go of the idea that you're a separate self from them. That's a necessary effect of forgiveness. And you become one with them in your awareness. You say, actually, I'm the same as you. So whatever you did really doesn't matter, because the reality is I'm still the same as you. We are one self. That's the Christ identity we share. And then from that awareness, we can ascend to the higher awareness, to the ultimate awareness shown in this diagram. God the Father, source, oneness, being, pure formless awareness, perfect love, source, knowledge, revelation. We can experience that from the perspective, if we are rooted in the one self, and we know that we are one self, and nothing that anyone does can disturb that, then that will bring about this awareness in our minds. So forgiveness leads to more and more identification with this Christ self, and that leads to more and more of an experience of pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is heaven, God. And so the Holy Spirit which reinterprets the dream, and the Christ lead you back to God. Does that make sense? And that's, the Holy Trinity is there for you as an operating system for your life, to help you to forgive or let go and attain your enlightenment ultimately. Okay, so any other thoughts, comments, questions? Just a final word, just be patient. Patience is one of the big qualities you need on this path. This is an ultra marathon, right? It's not just a marathon, it's an ultra marathon that you're running. It's the ultimate test. And you just keep going until eventually, you lay the body aside. Your goal is to be awakened enough when that happens that you don't have to come back. You can stay in pure formless awareness of perfect love and not need to come back into this illusory world and another life, another body, to play out the karma that you haven't resolved yet. And know, that you're on the right track. If you're doing this, and you systematically and progressively are really genuinely forgiving or letting go of whatever these obstacles are that show themselves, the blocks to awareness of love's presence, then you're
No,
doing
I
the
don't
best
know,
you
because
can.
I keep doing forgiveness, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it's actually happened, or it actually is not fully done, because there's still more to be done.
Yeah, but it's all helpful. It's going in the right direction, isn't it? I mean, think of it this way. Your choices are in that situation. You can either judge and get upset and stay in the ego, or you can let it go
Yeah,
and be
that's
free.
what I
So,
do.
I mean, is it really a choice? So the thing is, just be there moment by moment, going, okay, well, right now I've got a choice. I can choose ego or spirit. So I choose spirit, and I keep doing that. And I'm not really concerned about anything other than the now. See, that's the benefit of being rooted in the now moment. It's like, I'm not concerned about what's going to happen tomorrow or how long this is going to take me. I'm only concerned in now. Okay, right now, something's arising. I need to let go of it. So I let go of it. Okay. Oh, now again, the future now arises tomorrow. Oh, it arises again. Okay, well, I'll make the same decision. Very, very simple. No drama there. And you won't create an expectation that will cause you to be frustrated and, want you to give up. Go, oh, you're not getting it quickly enough. Well, who decides that? By whose standards is that the case? Ironically, that's the ego saying you're not being enlightened quickly enough.
Yeah.
Even though it's terrified of that state. So it's in that process. It's trying to sabotage your enlightenment by saying you're not doing it quickly enough, so give it up. Get frustrated, cover over pure formless awareness with frustration and anger and whatever, and ultimately give it up because it's not going to work. That's what it wants you to do. So, just patience, persistence. And if you're rooted in the now, then patience is not even required. You're just like, I'm just here now. What else is there to do? You see? Right here, right now, okay, ego's arising. I'm aware of it. Okay, well, I let it go then. And I do the process and I let it go and I feel better. Oh, it arose again. Okay, well, just do the process again right now. Keep doing that, you can't fail. It's not complicated. You just got to keep doing it. And don't give in to the temptation to get frustrated and go out of the now and say, well, when's this going to happen? Sometimes people ask me, well, how long is this enlightenment process going to take? And what do you think the answer to that is?
When you're ready for it.
Yeah, as long as you want it to take. It's up to you. If you keep asking that question, how long is this
Yeah.
enlightenment going to take? It's going to take a long time, I can promise you.
Until you're ready, truly ready and willing.
Until
yeah.
you're ready to accept that,
Yeah.
okay, I'm there. Until you're
Yeah.
ready to let go, you fully let go of the ego. But in practice, that's a choice. How do you fully let go of the ego? Well, you've got to let go of the blocks that the ego is made up of. And until
Yeah.
the blocks reveal themselves, you don't even know they're there.
Exactly.
So the value of this, human life, the only value it really has is that it reveals the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So that you can become aware of them. So they're not subconscious anymore, they're conscious. And then you can choose to let go of them and make a better choice.
Okay, maybe they were subconscious, now they're becoming conscious. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good thing when
Yeah.
they become conscious, because now you can consciously look at them, say, okay, I'm seeing what this block is here. I'm seeing the
Yeah.
belief. The block is really
Yeah.
the belief in your mind. So we look at the instrument for peace. It's the core belief that's the block. And that core belief blocks your awareness of
Mm.
perfect love.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy of love. That's the core belief.
Yeah.
Always at the core of any negative thought and emotion and perception. So you need to become the detective when the perception arises, the false perception. You go, oh, okay, well, let me just track it down. Let me go look at the emotion. Let me look at the thought behind it. Let me find the belief. Oh, okay, so there's that old belief again. I've still got it, evidently. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. So I get frustrated because I think I'm not good enough. And then I perceive the situation in a way that perpetuates my belief that I'm not good enough. And then the frustration arises. And I'm really frustrated with myself. But this is all self-deception, isn't it? You're just deceiving yourself because you're not, the truth is you are good enough because you come from God.
Yeah.
The whole thing's a self-deception. And there's really no need to be frustrated or angry or any of these negative emotions, because actually, in truth, you are pure formless awareness of perfect love, and you're just perfectly happy and peaceful eternally. So why anything else is false? So the ego, the world and your experience in the world is necessary to reveal these blocks. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Otherwise, how do you see that belief? You don't. It's in your subconscious. It's not.
But I have bring up that belief to the surface, so I don't understand why like someone else's ego needs to show me this some more. You know what I mean? Like,
well, because maybe that you still got that belief.
What if it's the other person that's got the belief?
But orally, if it triggers you, then you have the belief.
Okay. Okay.
If there's emotional reaction,
okay,
and you feel triggered, which you did, then you have the belief. That's the determinant. Did you get triggered?
Okay.
If you feel that emotion, then you got triggered. There's a belief there.
Okay.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be triggered. So, if you were totally, that belief had been let go of, and they came up with their projection, you just go, well, no, I'm not bothered at all. It's fine. And then it just wouldn't happen. Because do you understand? It only happens because of your belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your belief is integral to these experiences that you have. And it seems to be someone else. Oh, it's their belief. But watch how this works. When you change your mind, then somehow miraculously they change.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that as well.
So it's like, well, then maybe it wasn't their belief.
Yeah.
It's like actually my belief.
Yeah.
But remember, we're all connected. So you change your mind, you're changing their mind too.
Exactly.
It works in this mysterious way that our egos will never get their heads around.
Mm. Yeah.
Because it's oneness. The law is oneness. So you change, and the mind changes. Their minds change too. And then there's a shift, and then they behave differently. And you, as the miracle worker, are able to work those kinds of miracles. That's what he's saying. Because you have the awareness, you have the knowledge. They don't necessarily have that. So it's your responsibility to work the miracle in the situation by changing your perception.
Yeah, I know that. I've experienced, I remember a while back, my parents were fighting or arguing. And then I was meditating I started meditating, and then when I stopped meditating after that, everybody was quiet and it was all peaceful in the house. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I could see the effect of my meditation. My inner peace projected the external peace around me, like in their behavior. So it was quite a aha moment, I call it, a realization as well.
Then it's just to keep, the ego is always going to try and sabotage that realization. Say, oh, no, this is an exception. Actually, why is this person attacking me when I've done the forgiveness? And not making you, aware that actually it's still your own belief. That's the problem. Because then you see, as long as you're blaming the external, now what's happening is you're being dictated to by the external world. You're a victim of the world, and your perception, emotion, thought, belief are a product of your circumstances. And that is the definition of being a victim.
So when you blame the external world, you become a victim of the external world.
Yeah, because you're saying I'm unhappy because of XYZ in the external world. This person did something, whatever happened, and so I'm unhappy because of that. Well, I'm a victim of the circumstance, aren't I? My internal state is then governed by the external world, which is what the ego wants you to believe. The turnaround is to say, no, my locus of control is within. I decide what I experience. I choose happiness, I choose peace, I choose love, I choose to be that rather than the victim upset self. That desire, the core here, is desire to be your true self. The prayer of the heart is the essence of the miracle. Yeah, I choose to be one self, not a separate self. I choose peace and love, and it doesn't matter what seems to happen externally, I can still choose that. Now you're quite powerful because you're not affected by the externals.
Yeah, so if someone else project their anger or their judgment or their negativity and you don't get triggered or affected, that means that it's their choice, right? Or it's because they're choosing to be like this, right?
They're choosing, but you don't have to choose to respond from your ego. See, that's always your choice. How am I responding? Am I doing it from my ego or from my spirit? Those are the choices. So you always have a choice as to how you will respond to any situation. Always. No one can remove that choice from you. You can be in the most extreme choices, most extreme situations. Yeshua was crucified. Extreme situation. He still chose to forgive. Viktor Frankl, concentration camps, Nazi Germany. Horrendous situation. His entire family gets killed. He was in various concentration camps for 3 years, in appalling circumstances, and yet he chose his response consciously. He said, I'm not going to give in to fear and hatred and anger and despair. I will stay in my true self, no matter. And the Nazis cannot remove that from me. They cannot take away that ability to choose. They can kill my body. They can enslave my body. They can kill my body. They can starve me. They can beat me. They can do all that. But they cannot change my mind if I don't allow them to. And that's the power we will have. And that's what, this course is all about. Claiming that power, saying nothing can disturb my peace if I choose not to allow it.
Yeah.
Even at the extreme of, some of the things that I've described, these kinds of things happening, which can happen to people, probably won't happen to you in your life. You're probably not going to have as extreme temptations, are you?
No, I hope not.
Crucifixion, Nazi concentration camps, fortunately, we don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. We're just dealing with our mother who's blaming us for doing something in the kitchen. So whatever. So relatively much easier.
Well, everything has to be spotless in this house. If it's not spotless or perfect, or if there's like a dish that's left, for example, overnight, it's like a drama.
Yeah, so what you're dealing with there is attachment to the level of form.
Yeah.
She's attached to form, and the form has to be spotless.
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect. But actually, that's really the true perfection is within.
Yeah.
It's another ego defense.
Yeah.
You're trying to make things perfect in this world. That's never going to be. You're never going to achieve that state of perfection on the level of form. So it's another opportunity for you to give that whole thought system and say, look, that's just insane. You're never going to find perfection on the level of form. Perfection lies within, beyond the level of form. And so she's showing me the ego's thought system very clearly, and great. I get the chance to look at it and recognize it for what it is and let it go. And so I don't believe that. It's not true. And then I don't have to get defensive. I can just go, okay, Mom, it's fine, whatever. And you put the dish away.
Yeah.
And you don't react, because what's reacting is the ego that gets defensive and says, oh, now I need to defend myself.
Yeah.
Because I feel attacked. Well, who feels attacked?
Yeah.
See, that's the question. Could you just let it go and go, well, it doesn't really matter, it's just a plate.
Yeah.
She can't really attack me because there's no separate self. There's nothing to attack. I'm infinite eternal awareness, so that's beyond what can be attacked. Nothing real can be threatened. So if you truly identify with your true self, you can't be threatened. But you get tested on that, and then you find you do, and it's like, okay, well, I haven't quite fully got that then. So more work is required to reveal that self. And that's the process. That's the ongoing process we engaging.
Yeah.
So just embrace it. Say, okay, well, that's what I'm doing, and great. I'm getting all these lessons, so that's good, because it means I'm on the fast track. Lessons are coming, and every day I'm getting tested. So that's good. That's what that's what I wanted. That's what I want. I want to awaken. So bring it on. And when you've learned your lessons, then the situation will change and you'll move on. But right now, what you can do is, okay, well, you are where you are. So this is part of acceptance. I am where I am in the dream. It's not ultimately real, but I accept that, this is the path. These are the lessons unfolding. So I accept them. And I choose to learn from them.
Yeah.
Rather than resisting them. If you resist them, you're not learning. So then what you resist persists. Okay, so then it just keeps coming until you learn. Which is the hard way. That's the way of the cross that was mentioned. I'm stubborn, I don't want to learn, and I just keep getting the same lessons, and they keep getting amplified. If you notice that, if you don't listen, then they get amplified. It gets worse.
Yeah.
Until you do listen. So why not just listen straight away? Make your life easier.
Yeah.
But that's, we're doing the course. That's what I'm training you to do. So, okay, just get really good at becoming aware in the moment and listening and letting it go. That's mastering the art of letting go. So you get very good at that process. And, the beauty of it is life will give you plenty of opportunity to practice. You're not short of opportunities. That's so great. It'd be like, imagine you did a whole course and it'd be like, I haven't had one forgiveness opportunity. I haven't had a chance to practice. Well, that's no good. You need daily opportunities to practice. So you have them. Great. All perfect in its imperfection, if you can see it.
Yeah.
So there's no accident. You're at your parents and you're getting triggered, and now you're on the course. It's all part of it. It's all part of the plan, the Holy Spirit's plan for you, for your awakening.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other comments, questions? Otherwise, shall we
No, all good for
leave
me.
it there?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
another very
so
good
much.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, good session, and this is
Very good.
So what we're going to do twice a day. starting on Sunday. So it's only one session on Sunday, but so just, you know, immerse yourself in this, and the more you immerse yourself in it, it's like something's got to stick, hasn't it? You just keep hearing. I mean, I sometimes I sound like a stuck record player because it's the same message over and over and over again, but we need to hear it over and over and over again because the ego is so
We do.
persistent that, you know,
We
it
do.
needs to be repeated and in many different ways, angles, and that's really what this course is about. Many different shades of it, angles, perspectives on it, so that you get it. So it's like something penetrates in there, and you go, okay, I get it. There is actually only one way to live my life, and that's to let go. There is no other viable alternative.
Hmm.
So, okay, well, I better just do it then. Whereas up till now, you know, we confused. We don't know. Okay, well, maybe there's another way. Maybe I can make the level of form work. Maybe I can meet my desires on the level of form. And we get confused because we're pursuing different ways. That's the split mind. You know, there's only one way. You're ever going to find, if you really want genuine peace, there's only one way you'll find it. And that's letting go of forgiveness.
Or letting go of your mother.
Well, letting go of any issues you have with your mother.
Yeah.
That's the issue. The issues you have with her that are the problem.
I don't have any issues. She's just like always complain and blame and project judgments on anything, and like all these things that needs to be perfect where it's already perfect. So I don't have issue myself. It's just that these projections of or is
Well,
anger
but
and
it's
pain.
she is your projection, you see. She is your shadow. She's the ego showing itself to you through her. That's how it works. And it triggers you because there's still the ego is still there in your mind. There's still a belief in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I want to kill that ego.
no, not kill the ego, because you can't kill what's not real. Just recognize that it's not true. It's not even there. That's what he's asking us to do. Because if you're going to kill it, what you do is you make a fight. Now there's a resistance. Oh, there's actually something real I've got to kill.
Oh.
Do you see the subtlety of it? I can't kill the ego if it's not even there. So the ego just needs to be recognized for what it is. It's unreal.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's doing with forgiveness. It's unreal. It doesn't exist. Ah, okay. Well, I don't need to go fight what doesn't exist. I just need to recognize it doesn't exist.
What about when we need to eat and, you know, just the general basic needs? That's when it is real.
The spirit can guide you and all that. It's fine. I mean, it's a construct. So there's like a hardwired construct of human life. Okay, so, you know, eating, sleep. I mean, these things can be. These are not fixed laws, by the way. You can really bend those. You don't have to eat nearly as much as you think you do. Maybe you don't even have to eat at all. There are supposedly breatharians in this world. They just live on breath and prana. So, you know, these things are part of a construct. But okay, you know, you don't necessarily need to go become a breatharian. You can go, all right, I eat, but there's no attachment to eating. I'm not letting the separate self use eating in any way, shape, or form. I'm just do it. I'm eating, can enjoy it, but no, without attachment. And then the spirit's guiding you, even in the, you know, practical things of life. No attachment. Well, that's fine. You can eat, you can drink, but without attachment, it has no effect on your mind. So it's always about what's happening on the mental and emotional level. That's important. See that? Is this affecting me mentally and emotionally? No, not really. Then fine. Oh, actually, I've got an issue with my food. Well, then there's some letting go that needs to be done.
We need to eat to keep us alive.
Well, supposedly, as I said, that's not necessarily an absolute. I'll do a Byron Katie on it. Can you absolutely know that statement is true?
Well, I've seen people starve and then, obviously they die.
Yeah, okay. So in your experience, but there are accounts of yogis and mystics who haven't eaten for years. There are accounts of breatharians. So can you absolutely know that what you said is true?
It's funny you bring it up because someone was doing doing a retreat. Promoting a retreat actually, and it was like you're not gonna die after 3 days of fasting or after a few days of fasting. It's just a fear, the fear of dying if you don't eat. It's like a fear that you will die if you don't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of the ego's
Ego.
construct.
Yeah.
Yeah, fear, fear related to the body. Or if I don't have food, can you absolutely know that that's true? And if you're honest, you say, I can't absolutely know. There may well be people who exist on prana alone. I mean, if we energy, our bodies are energy, right? If you could tap in to a source of energy that could fuel your body that was not coming from food, which is quite feasible because we live in a matrix of energy. So why not? That could be possible. So the sun is the energy. There's energy in the air. There's energy in your own body, in the base chakra. There's a whole energy center there. If you release it, that rises up the spine, and you feel that. Then it's possible. I've played a bit with the diet thing and not eating. I did about a 10-day fast once. But in the breath realm, I can hold my breath for an extraordinarily long time and not die. Most doctors will say, well, you hold your breath for 5 minutes, you'll be brain dead. Well, I can prove that I know that that's not the case because I've done it. And I didn't go brain dead or anything. So what's that saying? That clearly, their supposed fact is not a fact at all. It's just an opinion, and it's actually a lie. So we'll question all of these things, all of these, fixed beliefs. Oh, I need to eat. No, do you? Not necessarily. Certainly not as much as you think you need to. And so you start unwinding your belief in the ego that way. Okay, well, maybe actually these are not laws. Yeshua says these are not laws, but these are madness. These are the ego's invention, the substitute for the law of perfect love. All of the substitutes for that. And is a construct that the mind has cast, the veil of illusion that's cast over that true awareness. And our job is to uncover it, reveal it by letting go of all the illusions that cover it, and reveal that that pristine, pure formless awareness where there's only one law. That's the law of perfect love, perfect oneness. We are one. That's it. There's no other law. So laws of economics and diet and health and nutrition and all the stuff we've made up, that's all part of the ego's belief system. Well, we'll cover all of this, Elaine. If you stick with this process, we go through all this stuff in detail in the course and beyond in the ongoing program, because he covers all of this. It's a very comprehensive mind training course. Undoing the ego and all of its aspects in your mind. Okay, so all good.
Yeah.
So
Thank you very much.
Call the session
Thanks.
there. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. So tomorrow is our last session of this program course, LG
and on
program.
Sunday, it's
Sunday
what time?
And then Sunday we start anew. Day one.
12:30.
Sunday it's 12:30 UK time.
Yeah.
So it's 1.
On Sunday, so it's 1:30 as well on Sunday.
Yeah, 1:30 your time, because it'll be quite a long session. So prepare yourself for the afternoon. We're going to go do an introduction on the course. So look at the introduction to the text and also the preface, and which is a really nice kind of summary overview. So it's really an introduction, but it's an overview of the whole thought system as well through the studying the preface and the introduction, and it'll give you a nice, and I'll talk a bit about the process and what's to come and stuff as well. So it'll be a good introductory session as well as an overview of the actual teaching. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
thank you very
Thanks for
much.
joining.
Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye bye. All right. So thank you everyone for joining. You listen to the recording. Do join us on Sunday for our first live session of the Art of Letting Go course, a new course starting. If you haven't signed up to it yet, you're welcome to join that free. Just give it a try and join us. So go to the AOLG, THEAOLG.events, plural, the AOLG.events, and that will take you to the registration page, more information, registration for Sunday's session. So look forward to seeing you then, and namaste, which means the peaceful self in me acknowledges and honors that same peaceful self in you.